Welcome to the Bright Insight podcast. This monthly show is provided by SGS Brightside Security Evaluation Lab. In Bright Insight podcast, we're talking about updates on security regulations, requirements, and perspectives on the current cybersecurity developments in different industries such as payment, medtech, automotive, industrial, and consumer IoT. Security is becoming more widely used and important at home, work, school, or in your personal life. Think about GDPR or the Cybersecurity Act. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. The more systems we secure, the more secure we all are. Thank you for listening to Bright Insight.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining this episode of our second season of Bright Insight podcast, and it's really an honor to have EMVCo as our guest for today, and the other guest is our EMVCo liaison who has already 20 years or more in the security industry, our Adjay Gopie. And also from EMVCo, we have Bastien Latge. So why don't you introduce yourself a bit? So before we start all the topics, Bastien.
Sure, I can start. Thanks for the introduction and thank you for the invitation. So indeed, I'm Bastien Latge. I joined EMVCo a bit more than 6 years ago. And before that, I've been working for the industry with secure inside contactless, and even before that I was with MasterCard. So as you mentioned, I'm about 20 years working in this industry now, and I hope I'll be able to provide some lights on what EMVCo is doing and all we are doing.
Adjay.
Yes, I've been working at SGS Brightside now for 20 years, but at the time that I started was part of TNO. Started in a lab, did side channel analysis, did some project management and security evaluations, and finally now, who would have guessed it, I'm now doing business development, but mainly I'm maintaining the relations with the certification body. Among them is EMVCo, which is a great cooperation because I have seen the development from the security requirements from the early days until now, which is a really exciting development.
Well, it's great. It's nice to know that I'm the most junior here in this industry with my 16 years. But that's great to learn a lot from all you guys. Bastien, can you start with introducing a bit about EMVCo and what EMVCo does?
Yes, absolutely. So EMVCo is a technical specification body. So we actually do provide and deliver technical specifications for payments for card-based transactions, and we also provide processes for testing, so functional or security evaluations. And as well manages the known marks. So the most known mark is probably the contactless one, which each of us use quite often and more often these days with the pandemics. So in terms of maybe security evaluation, which is probably the most important in this podcast, is EMVCo accredits and regularly audits the labs that participates in various approval processes that I just mentioned. So it includes the card approval, the terminal approval, and the security evaluation. So both the functional and the security side. Currently, there are over a dozen accredited security evaluation service providers globally, and I should say as well that there are around 12 billion cards in circulation, EMV cards in circulation, so EMV chip cards, I should say, in circulation. So if you look at the security side, it's indeed very important, and the scope of the security evaluation process includes the integrated circuit, the IC, the platform and integrated circuit card, the ICC products, And it also includes the so-called SBMP, software-based mobile payment components or solutions that enable payment transactions on mobile devices. So the EMVCo security evaluation process assesses whether a chip or an SBMP component or solution demonstrates sufficient assurance of certain minimum levels of security. And it includes the security mechanisms and protections designed to withstand known attack. As part of the ongoing effort to provide this efficient and flexible offering for product developers and to promote a robust and consistent security foundations for software-based mobile payment products, we established this process, the security evaluation process, that consolidates the existing processes and industry best practice. So again, the evaluation processes from an EMVCo standpoint includes hardware and software, which is key, while as the technology evolves in using the two of them. In terms of software, the SBMP evaluation process introduces component and integration evaluation model, which allows components to be evaluated independently or together to validate the security of the overall solution. So there are many components, and just name few: the TE, the trusted execution environments, the attestation, software protection tools, the CDC-VM evaluation, so consumer device cardholder verification method, which are these components that many of us are using, actually, the biometric authentication on a mobile device, for example. And I should say that SGS Brightside is an example of a security evaluation service provider. And guys, if I recall well, for SBMP, you've been accredited in 2018, which means that SGS Brightside can now support all types of evaluation, IC, platform, ICC, and SBMP, like a few other providers who have been through this process. But I know that SGS Brightside has been accredited by EMVCo for IC much earlier than this, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we really have a long-standing relationship with EMVCo, and glad to support EMVCo in doing security evaluations for all these years. I think by far, EMVCo is the most important organization in the payment world. Today, EMVCo is collectively owned by American Express, Discover, JCB, MasterCard, UnionPay, and Visa, big financial companies that are working together to set a standard. But I remember when I was joining Brightside in 2006, it was not yet that so well established. So, Adjay, can you introduce a bit about our history with EMVCo and how it was through all these years?
Yeah, we are talking about a time where we had ROM-based products only, and it has evolved to multiple evaluation schemes. So from IC to payment products as platform products nowadays, like Bastien mentioned, also software-based mobile payment. And we are talking about from 2006 indeed to 2005, but it really become booming when we got ICs and platform evaluations, because then we have indeed separated the Lego blocks and reuse evaluation results. And that's the big benefit of EMVCo. So EMVCo indeed recognized together with the industry that a lot of products has similar components, similar ICs, hence the IC evaluations, similar OS, operating systems, hence the platform evaluations, and also similar crypto library implementations. So we do recognize all these implementations within EMVCo, making the industry more efficient and gaining more assurance. That allows us as a security evaluation lab also to go a step further, because once these blocks are certified in the security evaluation of the end products, we can focus on new issues, so we don't take a look at the existing certifications.
Right. So EMVCo really set up the specification to I think promote and also make the whole payment industry to progress and give the developers a little more flexibility and ease to develop their market and reduce their cost. I think that's a very important part of what EMVCo is doing. Bastien, like you said, we are going into a different kind of payment world. There are more contactless payment. It started already with a lot of Apple Pay and stuff like that, and now in the COVID time, it's even more used than before. So, in creating something that is really go with the time and be modern, and what is the consideration and challenges for EMVCo in following the trend and create specification to facilitate the use of or how people pay?
Well, there are, I mean, two points. I think the first point is why these specifications are needed. So you mentioned that the objective for us is to make sure that we deliver the EMV specifications to support reliable and convenient card-based payments for the merchant and the consumer worldwide. So you mentioned contactless, indeed, but we've and there's no doubt that, I mean, the contactless payments has increased, including mobile, but as well the e-commerce side of it, and I'll come back on it later on. But we've seen inconsistent processes and fragmentation across channels and region, which creates points of weakness for both a security and consumer convenience perspective. So this undermines the ability to deliver a safe and seamless payment experience. So it's really what the EMV specification addresses. So addressing these challenges by providing the common and secure foundation for the development and the deployment of card-based payment products that will work on a global scale, while also supporting regional requirements. So that means that the consumer can expect a safe and successful purchase, whether they are shopping in store, in face-to-face, or online. And so how do we create these specifications within EMVCo? We engage and we collaborate with the global payment industry to develop and shape the future of these specs. So through the EMVCo Associate and subscriber programs, for example, multiple stakeholders can contribute their knowledge and expertise that support the development of the EMV specifications. And of course, this includes the testing laboratories to support product approval processes and security evaluation. So it's really key for us to engage with you guys to know the latest attacks, what you are working on, what you've seen during your evaluations, and how we can improve the evaluations overall for all the EMVCo related products. EMVCo related specifications. So the specifications are made publicly available for use by any organization, and this is as well a very important point, that all payment industry stakeholders can accept the spec and can contribute to the development of these specifications and provide inputs to EMVCo. So we also work with many other technical bodies, just to name some of them: NFC Forum, ISO, W3C in the e-commerce space, FIDO Alliance, in order to make sure that all these specifications can work together and can support payment consumers and merchants appropriately. So that's really important on our side.
And what would you say to be the biggest challenge for EMVCo in getting all this done, or getting everyone on board or together? Is there a particular thing that or challenge you're facing at this moment?
We've got very good participation, and again, that's how we can evolve the specs. So some challenges are indeed that there are many bodies working on different technologies, and we've got this liaison in order to make sure that all works well together. And I would just add that the one perennial challenge for payments, whether face-to-face or online, is, guys, as you know, how you can balance an easy user experience with robust security. So it's really important that we take the two into consideration, and that the security does not impact the experience, or as very low impact on the experience. So the consumer have the expectation that their digital transaction is fast or faster and more convenient. But it means that behind the scenes, there are a lot of different channels as well to consider, inconsistent processes, and some fragmentation in the ecosystem that we have to contend with. So it requires this joined-up approach, and this is why the global initiatives like the EMV specifications have such a critical role to play. The success, for example, of the EMV chip specifications that are now, as I said, over 12 billions of EMV chip cards in circulation globally, I think provides a good model for bringing consistency as well to online commerce. So we can try to replicate this success, and that's what we are working on. So definitely the EMV specifications have evolved beyond chip to support technologies that enable reliable and convenient payment globally across all the online commerce channel and connected devices. So there is no silver bullet. So EMVCo in this area has developed the 3D Secure, EMV 3D Secure specification, the Secure Remote Commerce specification, and also the EMVCo payment, the EMV payment tokenization specifications, which payment tokenizations can be used as a tool on both the face-to-face and remote space. So these technologies can be used together or separately, and like all the EMV specifications are available on EMVCo website.
And Adjay, so from a security lab point of view, what do you see the development of payment, and do you see any challenges from a lab point of view?
Yeah, there are challenges because you see many different flavors of payment products. We still have the cards. We now can pay with our phone and online payments. And we see an increase in mobile payments, so where the secure element in the mobile phones are being implemented. Although the payment experience is similar to the cards, the security implementation or the actual technical implementation is different. We are talking about very complex chips where the traditional attacks cannot be performed that what we are used to, like side channel perturbation attacks. So we have to gain assurance in a way that these products are protected against these certain type of attacks. On the other hand, these new payment solutions are also vulnerable to other type of attacks, like logical attacks, because the same product is hosting multiple applications. It's basically a computer that can contain viruses. So that's also another thing to address. Besides that, a card has one channel or a contactless channel. The mobile payment products have multiple channels to be accessed, and that needs to be protected. So these are all challenges that we need to address, but also very exciting to address. It's very new technology, it's very exciting technology, and the evaluators within our lab are more than happy to perform the evaluations on these type of products. But we have to stay sharp, and the specifications and the requirements needs to be adjusted continuously. With introducing new products, we also have to think about the attacks that can be performed on these new products, and hence adapt our security evaluations to that.
Yeah, it's really a cooperation together with lab and EMVCo and all the different stakeholders to look into what security and what countermeasure or what attack or testing are needed. So I'm glad that we brings us to the next topic on the new technologies. So as we see now, except contactless payment that actually exists for some time now, what we see in the future is also the way to perform the payment. It's not only from card to mobile phone, but in the future we're going to pay maybe in our car or maybe through our smart speaker, or our refrigerator can start to order stuff and pay for stuff directly. So in that future, and also considering about technology like AI, like quantum computing, Bastien, what do you think? What's the outlook for the future, or what is EMVCo's perspective on this all new developments?
Yeah, you mentioned them. So actually, we are quite intensively working on this topic that you mentioned. So the future will be smart with connected devices. IoT is indeed creating new ways to pay. Voice activity devices, household appliances, and cars. So as you just named them. So all of these form a vast ecosystem of connected objects, and increasingly these devices are enabled with the payment functionality. So IoT undoubtedly presents significant opportunities for the payment industry. But for this huge potential of the IoT to realize, innovation must be again balanced with ensuring security and compatibility. So there is a need for this connection between the IoT, and that's exactly what it is made for. So this is where testing and evaluation plays a critical role, as same as collaboration. And as part of this collaboration, the payment industry stakeholders use the EMVCo testing and certification, and the marks as well, to validate and demonstrate that their customers, that their products meet the EMV specifications. So this is needed proof that it will work in this space. So with the IoT ecosystem developing rapidly, the EMVCo security evaluation processes for both hardware and software contribute to ensuring a consistent and trusted payment experience. And again, that's key in the EMVCo activity. IoT security is an increased processing concern across all the industry sectors. Regulators and standard bodies around the world are therefore tuning their attention toward the robust security benefits of hardware technology. So really the objective, one of the work EMVCo is going through is indeed to establish processes in order for IoT payment solution and devices could be evaluated as quickly and efficiently as possible. So this promotes security, supports innovation, and accelerate time to market. You mentioned as well quantum computing. So we are indeed evaluating the let's say risk of quantum computing, and in terms of some of the areas you mentioned, I like that EMVCo is engaged in efforts led by the US National Institute on Standard of Technology, NIST, on the quantum resistant cryptography. So it's really important to note that the EMV chip exclusively uses cryptography for real-time payment authorization and terminal pin protection. So unlike some use cases that need information protection now on which must remain confidential after the arrival of quantum computing. So we are evaluating the progress on quantum computing. We are assessing the requirements for future version of EMV chip specifications. And indeed, we just released recently for the EMV chip specification the elliptic curve cryptography, for the support of elliptic curve cryptography for EMV chip payment cards and terminals. And this updated spec is available on the EMVCo website. ECC, elliptic curve cryptography, provides increased cryptography strength over RSA with much smaller key size. So it makes it a very interactive option for use in devices with limited storage and processing power. So again, to meet with the need of, or balance between the need of security and, it's not balance, we need both, for security and transaction efficiency. So this is an update that we've made recently. And looking ahead, regardless of the payment method, whether it's in-store or online, it's key for merchant and consumer that the technology they use are interoperable, secure and convenient, and deliver a seamless payment experience. So this is why the EMV specs are evolved beyond the original EMV chip specifications to support a wide range of technology. And as I mentioned, looking ahead, we recognize the potential of emerging technologies such as QR code, wireless payments, and we work in this area. So wireless being something that is not online, but it's not with the same proximity as the known contactless payment today. And as well, we see benefit of having this technology converging. So, for example, using QR code to bring SRC in the face-to-face payment area. So that's the type of activities we are currently doing.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a lot of work. If I look at the IoT standards like EN303, and all the new stuff, they don't really already taking payment into account. It's more about data protection and some cybersecurity things. So there's a lot of things to be done there, and also for all the new initiatives from everywhere in the world, like QR code. They started out, I think, more in the Asia region, and now it's also becoming an EMVCo standard. It's also the things that EMVCo needs to follow up and monitor and try to make into a standard to support the payment. So considering time, I would like to ask both Adjay and Bastien, maybe what is the final message or last point you want to share with our audience? Let's start with Adjay.
So mentioning all the new products, payment product solutions that we are facing, all these products are existing products, and they are actually built for functional reasons, and we need to add security to it to enable payments for these type of products. Yeah, some final words on that. We have to consider security from the beginning, and EMVCo helps us with providing security guidelines, providing specifications with security in mind. It's like if you want to bake a cake, you need all the ingredients. If you mix the dough, the sugar, the butter, and put it in the oven, and eventually you see the eggs still on the counter, you can't simply mix the eggs into it and then put it back in the oven and expect a good cake to come out of it. We need security from the beginning of development, and that's something we need also for the new payment products. So we can't simply add security to existing products. If you do that, then the security will not be that strong as intended. So it's good to review EMVCo security requirements and specifications, because there's a long history and a history with a lot of experience there to adapt in new products.
So knowing you, I thought you would say you'll use cocktail as an analogy, but I think a cake works also. Bastien, do you have a last point you want to share with us on EMVCo?
Yeah, as you propose cocktails, I would say that collaboration would be my final word, and Adjay mentioned it. I mean, the collaboration in the security area between the labs and the EMVCo and between the industry and EMVCo is key. I mean, we won't be able to evolve the right way, again, considering the need for security and the need for efficient, reliable payments for the consumers and the merchants without a good collaboration between all the actors. So I mentioned the labs, but it's also the other industry bodies and the merchants and all these and the product providers. So all these companies involved in building the best payments space, the best payment ecosystem for everyone to use it with security and with consistency.
Thanks for the great outlook, and thank you all both for your time today to join our show. Thank you for listening, and let's see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Bright Insight Podcast. In the next episodes, we will talk about security regulations and the latest cybersecurity developments in emerging markets such as medtech, automotive, industrial, and consumer IoT. Stay tuned and subscribe on scsbrightside.com.